Hey guys, my name is TheRussianBadger, and today we are going to be playing on that map that you already know the name of, that has too much sand. Also known as Iraq, also known as any other Middle Eastern country that has too much sand or too much sunlight. Excuse me. So I start off by getting sniped by this gentleman with two other accomplices. I believe the plural form of accomplice is accomplices, or assistants, or associates, if you would like that a little bit more. And I basically said, I don't think I like broccoli. I don't think I'm going to let you do that to me and get away with it. And while I'm doing this, my teammates somehow get both objectives destroyed, but I was just trying to get revenge kill on these three gentlemen that thought they could just snipe me and get away with it, but I think not. And I'm going to get that guy with a few shots in the M16, then I'm going to get him with a 40mm grenade, Viga failed Diadas, and I'm going to... Did you see that jump? That was some... Superman, well, Superman doesn't jump, he flies, but then again, his flight time is only like a really big jump as it is. But regardless of his jumping technique and or amazing jumping ability, I figured that I wouldn't get his dog tags because it's really not worth the effort. I would rather just shoot him. I don't want to sprint a marathon trying to run him down just to get some pride, and I really never found any kind of huge accomplishment in that. Just, I have your dog tags. Well, I don't care. People knife me all the time, and I never really understood the whole respect or pride around getting someone's dog tags. I mean, there is some esteem with knifing someone, because obviously knifing someone is more difficult than shooting someone, because you have to really be quite deceptive, and you have to be very cloak and dagger about it, quite literally, if you know what I mean. And I never really understood it. Okay, you got my dog tags, and I get messages sometimes on PSN just saying, "Get your dog tags, bro. Owned. Like, owned 4 times. And I say, okay, I'm not interested, nor intimidated, nor concerned about you having my dog tags. I'm really unfazed by the fact that you knifed me. I'm not concerned. And so I'd rather just shoot them as it is, because I've had numerous instances where I go to knife them and the knife totally fails and then I end up dying. I don't want to risk that. And you know what? This guy tried some kind of dumpster technique where he's going to jump off onto the white dumpster and get some kind of quickscope on me. I don't know how he thought that technique would ever be useful, ever. But then again, his gamertag is AWOL Jackal, and I'm pretty sure that jackals cannot be absent without leave in the military. So, I think your gamertag is asinine, but it does have a slight ring to it because it has jackal in it, which is a very soothing word when you actually say it out loud. Go ahead and say it with me, jackal. Actually, jackal is not soothing at all. It's like loathe. Loathe is a soothing word. Loathe. Like, my feet loathe the ground. I don't want to give you an English lesson right now, but I should be focusing on how good of a building this is, because you can see both A and B, obviously, but not only can you see A, you can also see, or there is a penetration of A. Don't get too carried away with that. Let me finish that point. You can see inside the actual garage and or hangar of A, so that's a lot more productive of a point compared to the building behind me. You don't have as good of an angle inside A, and really that angle inside A can mean all the difference, because oftentimes you can shoot the enemies that are hiding in certain corners, or you have a greater amount of time to shoot enemies that are running from the middle of the street towards the objective. So really, this building overall, great view of A, great view of B, very effective point. And yet again here, I'm going to mow this guy down. Yes, it was AWOL Jackal again. I really don't understand. I still cannot fathom how a jackal can enlist in the military. Maybe there's a documentary on that about jackals enrolling in the military. Enlisting, excuse me. Maybe that's on National Geographic. Actually, you know what? I bet it's History Channel, but just thinking about a documentary about jackals in the military, as asinine as it is. Throughout the duration of this game, it was so odd, because what happened was the first 4 sets of objectives, extremely productive squad, extremely efficient team, partially. I'm going to say partially because there were other blue gentlemen. I don't like to call them the Blue Men Group or Smurfs or Blueberries, as some people call them, the non-squad members on your team. But I remember there was one gentleman that's on my friends list. I believe his name is, I can never pronounce it correctly. It's Rocker Kogel or Rocker Coggle, along with another gentleman by the name of Snow Yeti, as in the Yeti that plays in the snow, or the Yeti of the snow, and those were 2 other gentlemen that were blue, that were not in our squad, but were also very productive. And it was quite obvious throughout. Oh, that was a nice kill there. Throughout the remaining, I want to say 60 to 70 tickets on that final set of objectives, and we'll get to that in due time. It was ridiculous, and I'll explain that when the time arises and when the time comes. Really here, not really complex. You just flank that right side, you come all the way around to B, because really, if you ever try to run the main routes on that central channel or that left side going over to B, you're oftentimes going to get mowed down, and they don't usually expect that flank all the way around the right side. And you guys obviously saw where I went. And I think I don't need to bring up an overhead map, because I think these routes are fairly common if you know, if you know much about Arica Harbor or the Sandy map as it is. So I don't know if I need to go in depth. I like to bring up the map for specific instances. I don't know how you didn't kill me with a G3 AWOL Jackal, but killed yet again. And it's kind of impossible to really describe these routes yet again, because they're so simple. Obviously, you're just going to flank all the way around the right side and go to B, because any main channel or main routes are going to get you killed, because there's a mounted MG, there's snipers all around the back of those train cars. But I shoot that one gentleman just before we get that final set of final objective on that 3rd set of objectives, and then we're going to move on to A and B on this 4th set here. And yet again, you guys know that ladder, I assume, because, and really what I'm trying to describe here is I don't want to tell you guys inherent knowledge that you already know. And I know a lot of you already know these maps quite well, and in case you didn't, there's a ladder all the way down that left side. If you can swim there, greatest flanking route on this entire map, and it's really usually catches the enemy by surprise unless they know about it. That's usually, in my personal opinion, when I'm defending this map, that's one place that I always look for. But I'm going to get up here, I'm going to get this engineered before he gets me with his, he tried to get me with a Gustav, but I get saved. I get saved by, I believe it was a tank. And I arm the objective, I'm going to stroll on over here, and I believe I do frolic all the way around next to the burning truck. The burning truck is very, very key here. And actually, speaking of burning, I have to mention this in a second, but it's a great vantage point of B. As soon as you get it set, it is wonderful. It is, just to say the least, it is wonderful, because I obviously have a great view of anybody running towards B or anybody at B. But something that I wanted to mention about flames, well, I don't want to say, like, oh, dude, we're playing with fire today. Da spielen Sie mit dem Feuer. No. I might have included some kind of quote like Da spielen Sie mit dem Feuer, or like when you play with fire you get burned. But I thought, I don't need a catchphrase. I don't need some kind of cool quote that I say in every commentary. But what I mean, what I'm discussing when I say all about this fire, is that DICE released a statement today that there's going to be a flamethrower in Battlefield Bad Company 2 Vietnam. You can check out their blog, which I will probably leave in the description, unless I forget to. But I'll leave that in the description, but it really frustrates me, and I think about this. Okay, DICE. Let me get this straight, DICE. I know I'm treating DICE like a 3-year-old right now, but DICE, why are you telling us that there's a flamethrower in the game before you give us a release date when it's winter 2010? I don't understand that. I really don't. I don't understand why there's no release date yet you've already shown us virtually every weapon in the game. And there's also going to be a PPSH, in case you guys didn't hear about that. I know a lot of you are a big fan of the PPSH because it's got a ridiculous rate of fire, and we'll move on from those news updates here. AWOL Jackal finally gets me with a shotgun, and this is what I was talking about. It was basically our squad and maybe 1 or 2 other... It wasn't even our entire squad, though. It was more so 2 or 3 guys from our specific squad, and then Rocker Kogel and Snow Yeti that were actually going for the objective. I believe I armed it 4 times before we actually got it. And I know I just armed it twice. I believe I just armed it twice. But I really have lost count. I lost count because I armed it so many times. But there was just not the support of my additional teammates. Yet again, defused. And I don't know how he got me with 1 shot with a 45 pistol, but I can't complain because I use it as well. So I basically said, okay, Catfish, you are done. You know what? There is no way that I am going to fail. There's no way that I'm going to let you beat me on the final set of objectives after a great game for my teammates and I, so that really isn't possible. That's just, das geht doch nicht möglich. So then I'm going to flank up this right side with the Sega, and I like to think that the 870 MCS, in a way, is better than the Sega, but I think for taking on multiple enemies, especially when you have the shotgun upgrade, it is wonderful, to say the least. And I skip by A because usually A is the easier one to get, in my personal opinion. So these two guys are going to be totally unbeknownst to my position. And that guy's going to get the worst spawn point in the history of the world. So I'm going to get those three. And then I'm going to frolic along this third floor here. I was just checking a guy for the mounted gun. I usually do that. It's quite the habit of mine because I hate it when my teammates get mowed down on the way to support the objective once it's been armed. But I'm gonna go ahead and finish up here. I thought he was an enemy. He was quite scary. I believe that's Rocket Kogel there, the gentleman that's very good that I mentioned. And we're gonna get B destroyed. And yes, we did have some additional support whenever we had about. Obviously, we have less than 20 tickets here, so we get that objective destroyed, and some other. I believe it was Rocket Kogel or another one of those really efficient blue gentlemen got A, and we finally get it done. But just to give you an idea, I believe I went into the last set of objectives with 4 deaths. And I got 7 subsequent deaths in one specific objective. So that's like 1 death per set of objectives, then just 7 all of a sudden. So it was quite odd. And I believe I went, 44 and 11 with, I believe it was 2 or 3 objectives armed. But ich brauche mehr. Das ist nicht genug für mich. 44 und 11. That's not enough. But guys, I'm going to have some Bad Company 1 gameplay. I was only planning on playing it on Fridays and Saturdays because there's not many guys playing it right now. But until next time, einen schönen Tag allerseits und auf Wiedersehen.